if you are trying to fit into this intermittent fasting box and feel like it is the thing you just have to do, grant yourself some space. And maybe it's not the thing that's working for you right now. And try playing around with actually eating 30 to 60 minutes within waking up. And let's see how that starts to serve you. Let's talk about a trashed metabolism and what that actually means and what that is going to symptomatically look like for you. So number one, I'm sure so many of us have experienced this, myself included, is that you feel really cold, and especially your hands and your feet. So you are probably, and this is always the case for me, is like, I'm always in like, socks and a hoodie and whatnot, even in the summertime. But that's also because when the air conditioning comes on, it is damn cold in my house. And so I feel like I'm kind of always dressed like it's wintertime because it's just cold. It's cold for like 6 months out of the year here in Canada. And then it's cold when we put the air conditioning on. But ultimately, outside of the air conditioning and the weather temperature specifically, if you are really feeling, cold hands and cold feet, that can really be a sign of a sluggish metabolism. Also, your resting pulse is under 70 beats per minute. Now, the thing is with this one, this is typically, the number that I have understood to be representative of a sluggish metabolism, but you could also be an athlete and have really amazing recovery, and a resting pulse can be actually quite low. So this is one that I feel like can be very individual and really depend on the individual and their level of activity. But typically a resting pulse under 70 beats per minute, that could be pretty low. Constipated and irregular bowel movements, this will definitely be a sign of sluggish metabolism. And again, the reason that is because our thyroid, like I said earlier, is our metabolic igniter. And when the thyroid slows down, all these other metabolic processes start to slow down, especially digestion. This is where we start to have more bloating, maybe more gas, and we are feeling more constipated, and we're just not having regular bowel movement. So that is definitely a really big sign. Also, if you're starting to experience a lot of PMS and some more anxiety and mood swings, restless sleep, especially sleep where you're not really fully sleeping through the night and you are waking up numerous times to go to the bathroom, that's going to be a sign of sluggish metabolism, as well as low energy and low libido. And then, of course, lack of hunger, and especially in the morning. So I always think back to when I was, in elementary school and in high school, like growing up, I would wake up and I would be starving in the mornings, like starving. And I would wake up and I would eat. Like I could not go to school without a meal. And, also my mother wouldn't let me leave the house without eating something. I was never that kid that could just, wake up and go to school and just like eat something later. I had to wake up and eat like right away. And, that's such a sign of a thriving metabolism. Having those hunger markers are so key. And I think that we've really gotten into this space of really neglecting what it means to feel hungry and kind of suppressing those hunger symptoms because we've gotten so deep into the world of intermittent fasting. And listen, I think that intermittent fasting can definitely serve its place. But when we are dealing with stress and low thyroid and sluggish digestion, and we can't sleep, and we have hormonal imbalances that are going on, and issues with sex hormones and our period and our cycle and irregularity, when we have all of this happening, I definitely don't recommend fasting. I really, really don't. Your body needs calories. Your body needs fuel, and it needs nutrition. And we are depleting ourselves of that nutrition by denying those hunger symptoms and those hunger signs. So I really think that it's important to tune in to those signs, and waking up in the morning and having a meal within 30 to 60 minutes is really, really key. It really, really is, especially if you're dealing with all those symptoms that I mentioned and you're just not feeling your optimal self. I really do believe that intermittent fasting, yes, it serves a role, but it really is individual. And so I know for myself, and I have shared this before, that I was intermittent fasting for quite some time. And, it served me well until it didn't. And I was waking up feeling really hungry. And then I would kind of suppress that by having some like black coffee in the morning or some water. And I wouldn't eat because I would have to wait till that like 16, 17-hour mark. And really what ended up happening over time was, well, it wasn't working for me. And I started to experience more and more symptoms, more anxiety, more issues with digestion, more headaches. My fatigue, oh my God, was just like next level. And that's when I was like, okay, I don't think this is actually serving me anymore. And I really need to honor these hunger signals and eat within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up. And let me tell you, that alone has had such an impact on my overall energy and just overall hormonal health. Like just eating within those first 30 to 60 minutes and just being really present with my hunger and honoring that has made such a drastic difference with my health. So if you are trying to fit into this intermittent fasting box and feel like it is the thing you just have to do, grant yourself some space. And maybe it's not the thing that's working for you right now. And try playing around with actually eating 30 to 60 minutes within waking up. And let's see how that starts to serve you. What about a thriving metabolism? That's obviously what we want. What does that actually look like? So, number one, you are warm all day and you actually have a waking temperature of 97.8. So, I do suggest that you start tracking your temperature. This has been something that I have been doing very regularly for quite some time now. And to be quite honest, my temperature is low. It's very, very low. And if you have a low temperature, then you're going to start really feeling more of that low energy and that fatigue. There can definitely be some issues showing up around your cycle. I know recently I started having some issues with my cycle and it being a little bit longer than usual. And also like with weight gain or weight loss, that's going to be an issue as well, right? If you don't have this heat in the body, and if your thyroid isn't functioning optimally, that temperature is going to be down and it becomes that much harder to actually burn fat. Now, I've been lucky that my weight for the most part has actually been quite stable, but I can find that I get into these fluctuations. Like and those fluctuations can definitely happen more so if I'm under a lot of stress, then my weight can definitely fluctuate like a good 4 to 6 pounds. But overall, even with low temperature, I've been able to really maintain my weight, but it's still something I'm really conscious of because I really want that heat in my body, and I've been really working on getting that temperature up. So the tips I'm going to share with you today are going to help you restore your metabolism and in turn really help to support that waking temperature. So I would really suggest tracking your temperature. It's just the first thing that you do when you open your eyes in the morning. Reach over to your night table and grab your thermometer, do your temperature, start tracking that. And then you could also track it during the day as well. I was doing that too, where I would track it, after I eat a meal, and just kind of pay attention to what this trend was looking like with my temperature throughout the day. So also with a thriving metabolism, our resting pulse is anywhere between 70 to 90 beats per minute. Again, that's going to be very individual because based on like athletics and whatnot, that can definitely change. Bowel movements, having regular bowel movements, anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day. When we have clients that are going, once a week, yes, that definitely happens. That is one of the most important things that we really need to start working on. It's supporting digestion, and in turn, you're really supporting metabolism as well and getting more regular bowel movements. You have a healthy sex drive, no PMS symptoms or very little PMS symptoms, nothing that is like debilitating. You have shiny, strong hair, as well as nails, and you have, for the most part, pretty steady energy all day, I would say that for the most part, my energy is actually really good. Yes, in my luteal phase and just kind of leading up to my period, it can shift a little bit for me, but overall, my energy is pretty stable. And then your hunger. This is a really big sign of a thriving metabolism is being hungry within 30 minutes of waking up. So those are signs of a thriving metabolism. So really start to pay attention to that, as well as, sluggish symptoms. And the tips I'm going to share with you today are really going to help to optimize your metabolism. So let's talk about tip and strategy number 1, and that is eating enough. So many of us are under eating and we are not getting in enough calories. And the thing is, sometimes we think we are getting in enough calories, but we're really not. And that was me for a very long time. I thought that I was eating enough food and I really wasn't. I wasn't getting in enough calories. And the thing is, if you start to track your calories online or like with any apps or anything like that, they're not always that accurate. There can be a lot of just underestimating with your calorie needs. But if you've never calculated your total daily energy expenditure, you can do that. There is a website you can go to called TD, so the letter T and then DEE, so that stands for daily energy expenditure. So TDDEE, calculator.net. And that would be a really good place to just learn basically the bare minimum calories that your body needs in order to thrive. Obviously, it's going to be different if you are pregnant or you're breastfeeding. You're going to need to add some calories to that. But overall, I think that regardless of the number that shows up in that calculator, you probably need to add some more calories to that. And, there's a good chance that you really are under eating. And I do see this quite frequently with women, especially women who are trying to be really conscious of like losing weight. And they're just eating like a lot of vegetables and salads, which is great. I mean, getting in your greens and your fiber, but they're not actually getting in enough dense calories from like proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So if you are, under eating, if that's where you're at right now and you're not really getting in enough calories, maybe you just start small. And the last thing you want to do is like, add on copious amounts of food and calories. You just start small. Maybe it means adding in an extra 500 to 100, here and there, and spacing that out throughout the day. It might mean adding in like, an extra mini meal or snack or something like that. And just starting really small. Or it might even mean adding in 500 to 100 calories just a week, not necessarily every day, but even just a week or every few days, so that your body can start to adapt to that.